Thank you so much for joining me for part 2 of this message. For anyone who's joining this out of nowhere, I've left a link to part 1 in the description box below. I've decided to pull a chakra spread, at least starting with the solar plexus. The first card I have in front of me is the 3 of Wands. What I'm seeing in this card is the message of the feeling of delay. It's got obviously these 3 wands and they've got fire burning and she's waiting for something to come in, okay? But you can see from the color of the card that it's getting dark. It's getting dark, that's her feeling. And all I'm feeling actually from her is this anxiety and trying to catch balance in the space, okay? It's like this feeling has hit her in her stomach of what if it doesn't come? What if it doesn't come true? For me, what struck me the most was the sound of the silence as I was waiting for more from that message. But I was so caught up in this burn in my stomach that all I was getting was silence and feeling the burn, the anxiety of the delay. Another message I'm getting from this card, she's holding this surfboard as if there's this question around what she's waiting for and whether she's going to go it alone. Whether she should go into the water and not wait for whatever's coming in. And so that I feel is an answer to this sort of karmic pattern that I referred to at the end of the last message, where you have this feeling of the delay and you're asking yourself whether it's ever going to come true, your dream. And so as you're trying to sort of achieve this sense of regulation in your body, you have this other voice responding to you saying, you might have to go it alone. And then you are waiting and expecting at the same time. And on top of all of that, you're giving up. And so you've got mixed messages being sent through you. You've got mixed messages. And I'm understanding that, and this was coming through before as well, but the only thing that can sort of interrupt this loop is faith and trust in your dream. And really getting down to the bottom of the reasons why you don't believe your dream, okay? Especially now that we've shared an understanding around delays being the cause of doubt. And so it's delay that is the cause of doubt. It isn't the impossibility that is the cause of the doubt. The impossibility is a perception. It's how you are perceiving possibility because of delay. And so what I'm saying is that in the process of tackling your trust in your dream, you've experienced delays that have in turn caused a loop of distrust because of the delay. It's like delay and mistrust are playing this game, okay? They're just taking turns in your mind, occupying all of the space that's meant to be taken up by trust. Underneath the deck, I have the Knight of Cups, which tells me that it's already on offer. This dream is already on offer. And right underneath it, I have the Lover's card, okay? I have the Lover's card, which is telling me that it's already chosen you. Okay, so the dream is real, right? The dream is real. We discussed this reality of the dream in part 1. The dream is real. And underneath that, I have the 2 of Pentacles. This is all of the negotiation of whether it's really true. They're wanting me to explain to you that we need to interrupt this loop. I have so many cards telling a story all in line. I'll show them on the screen. I have the High Priestess, the 8 of Wands, the Page of Pentacles, the Page of Swords, and the 8 of Pentacles. All of these cards, and in this order, are telling me that you receive so much almost psychic hits, intuitive information, reinforcing that this dream is real. You receive so much input on this. And so what they're actually saying is that recently there has been an increased input of this specific information regarding this particular dream. And because of this cycle, this vicious cycle between mistrust and delay and all of these things happening, affecting your nervous system, your solar plexus, making you anxious, increasing the sense of delay. It's like a negative vicious cycle that's convincing you that there is a problem that then is causing even more of the feeling of delay. And so what's happening is that this feeling and this reality of delay is being exacerbated, and we need to interrupt the loop. They're saying that, okay, the mere fact that almost like the intensity and the frequency of information regarding this particular dream, the fact that it has increased is telling you something. It's telling you that the momentum is picking up and that it's closer and that it's real. It's trying to reinforce your truth to you. Okay? But it needs you to believe it. It needs you to believe it, and it also needs you to understand that, it's branching out into 2 things here for me. The one is the aspect of you that is waiting for something to naturally come in. You know, this will make sense to you. It could be, let's say, a person or an opportunity, whatever your dream looks like manifested, where you know that this does not require your effort and your work. There's that type of incoming dream come true. The other thing that they're showing me is this aspect of you that needs to apply yourself to allow for a certain dream to come true. This could be a combination of the two. Please, again, take this as it resonates because it's branched out, but in certain cases, I'm seeing an overlap. They're saying that regulation applies to both and trust applies to both. Okay. However, on the second one, where there's an effort required from you, okay, because then you don't want to find yourself at a standstill and stagnant where your effort is needed or your action is needed. What they're saying about that is that there was a message the other day regarding pleasure. Okay, so then that's where you're needing to, again, trust that what you want wants you to. I actually downloaded this the other day. What you want wants you to. And so to trust that really, even if it does not make mental sense for you to want a certain thing or think a certain thing can work for you, is to give it a chance through play, so that the form can be released to you, because how you picture the steps is not always how things transpire and manifest in reality. Absolutely, most of the time, what is manifested when you do not direct it exactly how you want it, where you're just following sort of your pleasure and ensuring that you're stripping all of your actions of duty and stripping all of your actions. When I say duty, I mean not showing up. I'm talking about when you do things in a way that pleases other people rather than in a way that pleases you. Okay, the things you do for others. Okay, unless, of course, it pleases you to do what others want. But unless that is true for you, then it's so important that in almost everything you do, as soon as you find yourself realizing that this I'm doing for someone else because this is what society expects of me, because this is what people like, because it's actually not choosing yourself. Okay, these are the little ways in which we don't choose ourselves, and this can be in minor activities or it could be in major activities and decisions and behaviors. It could be anywhere, but they're saying that's where you need to really trust that if you follow your heart and you follow your desire and these little steps and these bigger steps, that your dream can transpire and that it will. But that forms part of your responsibility. That's your part of the deal. Okay? Because from what I'm seeing, especially with that Knight of Cups and all of this High Priestess and all of this Eight of Wands energy, it looks ready. It's ready. And so when you make choices that align with what pleases you personally, that actually helps this idea of regulation, okay, to become the norm in yourself. And especially because each time, and we're not always conscious of this, but each time you take an action that's not aligned with really like what you want and what your body is immediately going to feel you want, you are triggering your nervous system. So you can be causing your own triggers to your nervous system, the ones we talked about. And so the goal here is to actually reduce those, to reduce the frequency of those areas where we feel resistance that is self-inflicted. And I've actually spoken a number of times about critical mass. This actually applies to your energy as well. Because when the predominant energy within yourself is at ease, rather than having like a high frequency of all of these things that you don't really want to do, when they take up most of your space and most of your time and energy, they are in control. Okay, they are in control in your body. And so the more you reinforce this more positive response to things that you want, the less you're triggering yourself. The more areas you're doing that, the more of a critical mass you're gaining over your own territory. Okay, because essentially, when you are doing what you love, okay, that's what most of your time is spent doing. Decisions become easier to make because you're not fighting against yourself internally, and it's not causing that doubt. Because I'm actually seeing like all of these arrows pointing in different directions. It's almost like it's that energy that causes havoc in your sense of direction and everything. Whereas if you're enjoying what you're doing, then it's kind of easier to make the decision. And so it's more around not eyeballing each and every decision to say, do I like this? Do I not? Do I like this? Do I not? It's rather checking your responses as you make decisions, and also being very aware of how your body is feeling almost all the time. Okay, almost all the time. And what they're actually saying is actually all the time, but because we're not always in a point of awareness and mindfulness, it's rather every single time you remember. And if you tell yourself mentally that, when you remember, if your body feels a certain way, to immediately check in with what you're doing, what you were thinking about, and how it makes you feel. That's the easiest way and simplest way to determine what triggers your nervous system. And that is a signal. I just pulled a card for the heart and the throat and the third eye. The heart has the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so this is what you're attracting. This is the opportunity that you're attracting that means so much to you. Okay, all of its possibility, everything, it's right there in front of you. In your throat, I have the Four of Cups, which speaks about, in this position, disappointment. Okay, and limerence, and almost these things are here, but it's not the way I wanted it, and it's just a dissatisfaction, but it does have an air of almost like you feel you can't do anything about it, is kind of how it's speaking to me. But then in the third eye, I have Eight of Wands. But what happened was when I was shuffling for the card, it fell out, and because I was absent-minded, I wasn't sure if it was the right card, and so I put it back. What that tells me, because afterwards I immediately got the message that that was the right card, and what that tells me is that you receive this information, you receive this direction, and you know this thing, like crown chakra wise, you know that this information is for you, but you deny it. You deny it because of this 4 of Cups in your throat chakra, which is denying the experience because of disappointment. In my notes here, I wrote what is possible and your responsibility. Okay, what is possible, in brackets, the impossible, being what you want. Okay, and our responsibility being all those things I listed: faith, belief, trust, wisdom, order, self-restraint, and regulation. And then underneath these, I wrote, what we try to do is bypass both. And so we bypass both and write off the result as what always happens. We write it off as impossible. We write it off as I'm always disappointed. Okay, this is the narrative that's playing out as you speak to yourself. This is what's been going on, to the point where even when this thing says it's going to come in, it's coming in and it's ready. Okay, that's the communication that you're receiving through your own third eye, through your own feeling. Perhaps there's interference here and there from external input as well, but you know that you have received this yourself and you deny it. And I'm going to tell you why you're denying it as well, is because you no longer believe what you're told, and you've put the things that you're receiving through your own third eye in the same box as the things that you've been told by others, promising you stuff. You've put that in the same box. Underneath the deck, I have the Tower. This is about a change in perspective, and realizing that without your change in perspective, this loop could continue. None of this is meant to alarm you. My wish is always to share the messages that I'm receiving, how I receive them, and to share information that is insightful and helpful. In your crown chakra, I have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. You know, this reading feels, in a sense, it feels harsh, but not. The reason why I feel like it's not harsh, and why I'm going to stick with that and continue, is because if you're listening this far, that means you are open to this information. Okay, and that means you're ready to receive it. That's the Tower. You're ready to receive this shift in perspective. The message here is that you do not believe that you are valuable. Okay, you do not believe that you are valuable. So what's happened again, this is almost like this 3 of Wands and solar plexus energy again. Your experiences in the past are currently defining what you believe. Okay, so your past evidence and the delays are actually affecting your sense of personal value. Okay, to the point where this information wants to come in, but it can't get past your mindset. And the reason why this has come across, this message, is to bring this to your awareness, because it's basically your only risk. And on top of that, we have discussed the whole idea around what is possible and how a dream is planted. Okay, and that it's already ready for you and coming in. That is the energy. But what you believe is so important, because it determines how you speak to yourself, throat chakra, and it determines how you treat the psychic input that you receive. I asked, how do we correct that? And as I was shuffling, I was thinking, I feel like we've addressed this, but the Lovers card came out, and it's coming out for the second time. And the message that it's giving me is that same, what you want wants you to. What you want wants you to. And so the current work that I'm seeing that you need to sit with is why you don't trust in this dream. This is now an inquiry, and I'm going to share these questions that are coming through. Why do you not trust in your dream? What makes you believe your dream is not possible? That answer could very well be because I'm always disappointed, because this is what always happens. Okay? Because of the delays. But these 3 aspects have been addressed in this reading. And so I believe that this is to sit with that and consider what result this has on your regulation, your sense of regulation, how your body responds to how you speak. I've been pausing in between shuffling, and I just want to share that I've been shuffling for a while for a card for the sacral chakra. And because it's taken me so long, I mean, the cards keep falling out my hands. I keep dropping like 9 cards at a time, all of that. What it's telling me is that what's being created here is a lot of hesitation and more of this feeling that things are not working. This is all rooted in how you're speaking to yourself in your mind as you respond to this weight. It's all there. It's all there. And what's so important about these readings that I've shared today is helping you to pinpoint the source of the delay, the source of this despondency, the cause of it, and the fact that this is a circular sort of reference point, and the only way to interrupt it is through really grappling why you don't trust, and to ask yourself, why would that dream be planted if it was not possible? With all of its feeling and with almost that stamp of approval that this is going to be yours. Why would it be planted? One could even go as far as, let's say, it's been planted because the universe is playing some sick game with me. It could get to that point. Okay? But that speaks to, your own belief system. That speaks to your own belief system. We all have different belief systems, but then there's a tackling of your own sort of, let me not say tackling, something to sit with is, what do you believe? Okay, what do you believe? Do you believe that the universe would play this sick game on you? For example, is that what you believe? You can also set that aside and you can consider, how do you believe things are created? Okay, how in your belief system are things created? And they're also sending me to your past successes. Perhaps some of them you consider as small and insignificant. They're saying the size, okay, the amount is not the point. We are speaking to the principle. We are speaking to the principle. And also they're saying the size of your dream, okay, the size of what this means to you, not the size in terms of numbers and the quantum of, they're talking about the size of how much you want this thing, the depth at which you want this thing. That is the challenge. That is how much regulation we want. And so now I want to bring you all the way back up to consider whether that belief system is serving your dream. Whether it's serving your dream. I'm also picking up, this is not for everyone, I'm picking up on someone who has actually worked through a lot of this thought process and decided completely to just give up on it. And to whoever you are, because I felt your presence literally step forward to say, I picked that option. I've very strongly considered that option. I've picked that option. To you, I want to say, this is part 2 of this reading and you're still listening. You're not done. You're not done. Why aren't you done? Because your intuition is telling you that It's possible. It's possible. It's your mind. Your mind has been given more space than your heart's desire. In truth, there's actually no problem with that. It's actually a good thing. What I'm referring to is not just your mind. I'm talking about this mindset. This mindset of how that's been created through how you have responded to delay. That's the one that's been given more power in your mind over your dream. I've pulled cards for the sacral chakra and the root chakra now. And I must say that I feel like, given how much we've said as we've pulled cards, there's already been a shift in this part of the reading. Okay, we've passed the tower. Something's been unlocked, because in your sacral chakra, what's being created now is a protection of yourself based on the things that you love, your desires. You are going to be closing the cycle on those things, using them to bring more regulation to your nervous system, understanding your own responsibility, and that is very much in the Hierophant, in the root chakra. This is you living off your own wisdom. This is you actually caring for yourself by applying your own wisdom and understanding the responsibility that you hold to meet your dreams. Dare I say, your dreams also want to manifest. That's actually what it means when I say the things you want you to. Your dreams also have the deep desire to manifest. Okay? You are the only aspect of the both of you that can make this manifest. And I'm not saying you have to do all the work. I'm saying you've got to do your part, and you have the power to block it. But I feel like you know that now. Something I feel the need to still read up on is this sense of delay. This is like the longest reading I've ever done. This is the sense of delay, because I recognize that there are real matters that surround us in life. And so to just sit and play is not always, it does not always feel practical. And so I want to look into that. I'm going to leave a link to part 3 in the description box below. If you decide to join me, I'll see you there.